Hey y'all, welcome into College Football Now. I'm Lena Bond, joined by Tom Downey as always. The new AP poll is out and things are a-changing, Tom.
It's garbage. This poll is terrible. There's so many wrong things with it. The AP pollster should not have votes anymore.
Tom is heated. There's a lot of things he's upset about, so let's go ahead and take you through it. Number one is Alabama, followed by Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and then Notre Dame squeaks up one spot to number 5. Taking it to 6 now, we have West Virginia, followed by Washington. The Huskies move up quite a few spots after defeating a winless UCLA team, but we'll talk about that later. Penn State, they're there at 8. Texas, yes, Texas is there at number 9, jumped 10 spots. Tom is heated. We will let you talk about it in a second, Tom. Let me just finish this. UCF, they make it into the top 10. Let's take it to number 11 now, Oklahoma. That's where they fall to after losing last week. Then we have Michigan, LSU at 13, Florida rises all the way to 14, and then Wisconsin is sitting there at 15. Take it to 16 now. We have the Miami Hurricanes, followed by Oregon. Kentucky drops to 18, while Colorado moves up to 19. And NC State is right there at number 20. And then the last 5, we have Auburn all the way down at number 21. Texas A&M, South Florida makes an appearance at 23. Mississippi State, they're back in the swing of things at number 24. And then Cincinnati is there at 25. Okay, Tom, what are you most mad about? Let's start there.
I actually think the top 5 is okay.
I'm okay with
hate
it.
the pollster who keeps voting for Clemson. You need to stop and get some help. Notre Dame should be top 4, though.
I agree.
They played a very impressive schedule. I think if you're doing it resume-based, there's a strong argument that Notre Dame should actually be the number 1 team in the nation. Now, I get from the AP poll perspective, it should probably be Alabama.
Right.
But Notre Dame should be in the top 4 for sure, because I think they're actually going to end up making the college football playoff.
Notre Dame over Clemson?
Yes, Notre Dame over Clemson. I think over Georgia, too. I think Georgia,
Okay.
Georgia should be 4. Then you get into 6 through 10, and I get it, there were a lot of upsets. It's a mess in general. Why is Washington 7 for starters? You look at what they've done this year. They lost to Auburn, who now has 2 losses. That's not that quality of a win. They beat North Dakota, Utah, Arizona State, BYU, UCLA. Why are they 7?
But then here's the thing. Look at all the teams around them. You're going to put
Penn
State above
I am
them?
going to put Penn State ahead of them, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to put Penn State ahead of them. Penn State has a better loss, and I think that their wins are pretty equal. I don't know how Texas is 9.
Yeah, Texas at 9
look,
is a
Texas has a great win, better win than Washington, Penn State, all those teams. I'm shocked that they jumped into the top 10. I know that they beat Oklahoma. That's a fantastic win for them. But think about their loss to Maryland.
Yeah.
Michigan, who's at 12, beat Maryland. Vis-a-vis transitive property, shouldn't Michigan be ahead of Texas?
Well, then let's take a look at this slide right here.
Florida just beat LSU, people.
There you go. And LSU is ahead of Florida.
Why are they behind them?
But like LSU.
Why is Kentucky behind Florida?
It's just, we talked about this before we went on air. It's just so much more complicated, right? It just can't be like this team beat this team and this team lost to this team because
Why
LSU
not?
is the better team.
Why not?
Yes, they lost, but can we agree just on like resume? We had LSU on the top of our CFP.
Yeah, but LSU lost to Florida and Kentucky beat Florida. Not that long ago.
All right, I want to ask a question. Well, I'll let the audience answer first. Which SEC team will make the CFP or teams? You know, the SEC is typically one of the most dominant conferences.
Bama and maybe Georgia. Like if Georgia loses by 3 in the SEC title game, I could see them putting them in.
You guys keep on getting your comments in. Tom, kind of a side question for you. Do you think the CFP committee should take a better look at making sure we don't have doubling down on conferences, or should it really just be the best teams?
It should be the best 4 teams, and for the most part, that's going to work itself out. As we already saw a bunch of upsets this week now, there are only a handful of undefeated teams left in the nation. I think Wisconsin should be higher. I get it that the AP poll is very different than the CFP rankings. I much prefer the resume-based stuff.
Yes.
I don't know how, especially when they're 1 spot ahead, that you can go, oh, Florida just beat LSU. Let's put LSU ahead of Florida. I don't get it. And I get that Kentucky is Kentucky and there's bias against Kentucky and they don't have the name brand of an LSU or Florida. Kentucky beat Florida. Yes, it was a home game. They won by like 11 points. Kentucky, I think, should be ahead of Florida. And if you want to make the argument, then put LSU higher, put Florida behind Kentucky, and then figure it out from there. And don't change anything.
Okay.
Doesn't make sense to me.
I think things will be figured out a lot more in the top 10 too once Washington plays Oregon next week. But we will talk about top matchups of the week later on. I would take a look at Auburn sitting there at 21, Tom.
I warned you. I
You
warned
did.
you on
You
the
did.
show. I warned you
You
on our
did.
college football playoff. didn't buy Auburn, and they looked bad against Mississippi State. Hopefully, as I get into a quick NFL draft tangent, can we stop with the Jarrett Stidham is the #1 quarterback talk?
He's not QB1.
Because that's dumb. He ain't quarterback one. And then your favorite team, Mississippi State's back in the top 25.
Yeah, it's not gonna last long, Tom. I will, props where props are due. I think it was, beating a better Auburn team. But, congratulations, you're at 24. I told y'all he wouldn't be higher than 18 when it's all
How about
said and done.
some Group of 5 schools? South Florida UC 5-0, 6-0. Look out.
Do you know what? I like seeing it, though. I think, for the Group of 5, you got to give them some credit. You got to make them feel like they're still in the thick of it.
Yeah.
So, it's nice to see that the AP voters did well there. But I want to know from you guys, which SEC team should be ranked higher? There were a lot of losses, a lot of upsets this week. LSU, Kentucky, UK, thumbs up for Florida, laughy face for Auburn. Tom, quickly, what are you throwing up?
LSU is the best team of that 4, but UK has the better resume. They beat Florida, who beat LSU. It should be UK, which is weird to say, but they should be ranked the highest, even though they should all be right next to each other.
I agree.
15,
it should
16,
be very
17.
close,
There
a little group, a little clump. But I actually think they got it right by having LSU as the better team. I think when you look at their resume of everything else they did this year, I don't think you can move them below any of these teams.
Okay.
So I'm sticking with my guns there. What you guys should do is stick with Tavour for all you beer lovers out there. Craft beer delivered to you. It's free with sign up and use promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first purchase. You guys go get it done. If you're a beer drinker, it's college football season, it's NFL season. Best place to get your beer.
All kinds of craft beer. Get your beer set up before the game. They'll give you a literal box of beer and you'll be set for at least the weekend, I would hope.
All right, let's keep on taking you through the top 25 here. These are the first 5. And Tom, I also want to take a look quickly just at the teams who entered the top 25 this week and all the teams that exited the top 25 because there were a lot of upsets. And one team I was really surprised to see exit, at least, was Stanford. Because I know they lost to a Utah Utes team, and last night I actually had to double take when I looked at the scoreboard, wait, the Utes beat Stanford, and the Pac-12 is competitive, but I didn't see that coming. But they're 14 and then drop all the way out. Do you think that was fair?
It was not that long ago. They were a top 10 team, and I am a little surprised. I would have tried to find a way I think I would have put Stanford in over Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Stanford beat Oregon. That's a really good win. Yeah, it was kind of a fluky win, and the loss to Utah definitely hurts. They didn't have Bryce Love. I would have kept Stanford in the top 25, even if it was at the bottom.
And then those were the 4 teams that entered: Texas A&M, South Florida, Mississippi State, and Cincinnati, 22 through 25.
A&M, when the committee releases their rankings, I would not be surprised if they're surprisingly high, given that their losses were to Alabama and Clemson, 2 top 5 teams.
All right, taking you through the rankings here, 6 through 10, West Virginia, Washington, Penn State, Texas, and UCF. So out of these teams, Tom, which do you think has the best chance to bolster their CFP resume and actually make it to the playoffs?
It's going to be West Virginia down the stretch because they play a very tough gauntlet of games once we get into November. It's a pretty easy and slow start for them right now, but you're going to see West Virginia be a team that can make a big move down the stretch because their schedule's going to be easy. They're going to be undefeated, I think, for quite a while. Then things get tough down the stretch when they play Oklahoma State. When they go play at Texas, TCU mixed in there as well all in the month of November. That's going to be tough.
And speaking of Texas, big upset victory against Oklahoma
just
yesterday. Right. Do you think that Texas is
Honestly, I thought the AP pollsters were going to have Oklahoma ahead of Texas.
Really?
I really did. I mean, they just did it with Florida LSU.
Yeah.
But they got it right. It should be Texas. They should not be a top 10 team right now.
I think so, too. I think Oklahoma, I wasn't super hot on them going into the season. I knew they were probably one of the better 15 teams going into college football, but I think they were 8 in the first AP poll. So I'd like to see them a little bit lower. But Texas at 9, that's still
a little high.
Quite a shocker. But hey, UCF, congratulations on breaking into the top 10.
They deserve it.
They do.
The defending national champs, UCF, by the way.
All right, Michigan now, number 12. That victory versus Northwestern's looking better, Tom.
Yeah, because Northwestern beat Michigan State, who I also didn't really believe in, but things do start to get a little bit tougher here for Michigan.
Oh my gosh.
They've got a very tough schedule coming up. They go play Wisconsin at home this weekend, at Michigan State, which doesn't seem as daunting here on October 19th. Penn State November 2nd, then of course they end the season at Ohio State.
This Wisconsin game, I think probably before the season started, I think probably would have looked a lot scarier as a Wolverine fan. But Wisconsin, they're beatable this year. We see that Jonathan Taylor still going off, but that Michigan defense might be able to keep them in check.
Both teams have a tough path to make it to the CFP. They have to win out and hope Ohio State wins out before, either Wisconsin or Michigan beats them. But if Michigan wins this game, they're going to be in the mix. I think you'll see them jump into the top 10. I think Wisconsin, same if they win. The loser, though, is limited from the CFP race. They're not going to be able to get in.
All right, who you got?
I'll go with Michigan. It's at home. Michigan's a better home team.
They are. They're a very good team in the Big House. So keep on typing M or W. Let us know who you got for that big game. LSU, another big game coming up this week. They're taking on the Georgia Bulldogs at home. And I think last week this was like, oh my gosh, top 5 matchup. This is going to be crazy.
Now it's not as good.
It's not as good, but still should be, SEC competition. It'll be a good game.
I will lean towards Georgia. I am very, very curious what this spread ends up being on BetDSI because they had the trap spread. LSU was only like a 2.5-point favorite.
Right.
Auburn was 2.5-point favorite. Both those teams got upset. Stanford was only like a 3.5-point favorite against Utah, so they knew in advance, and not surprised there. I will lean towards Georgia. A rough loss for LSU. I don't know if I fully trust Joe Burrow still. The defense should be good.
Yeah.
But I think Georgia, who's for the most part cruised so far this year, they'll get a test, but I think they'll find a way to win.
Quick side note, is Georgia underrated this season? Because they're sitting here undefeated, but nobody's talking about it.
I don't think they're underrated. I think they're just kind of ignored right now. Because everyone's talking about Bama in the SEC, LSU as well. I think they're fine overall, but I don't think that they're an underrated team. I don't think you can be the number 2 team in the nation to be underrated.
Fair enough. All right, take it to the next slide here. Number 17, Oregon. They had a
Disrespect
bye
for
week.
Kentucky.
Hey, we're talking about Oregon now. Shut up. They had a bye week this week, and they're taking on the Huskies this upcoming week. It's going to be a home game, which is huge. And I'm really curious to see, Jake Browning versus Justin Herbert, kind of the 2 better quarterbacks we've seen in the Pac-12 the last few years, on top of the Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen and whatnot. But, if Oregon's able to beat Washington, Tom,
they're back in the CFP mix. That overtime loss to Stanford is going to continue to haunt them. But if they go undefeated and they win the Pac-12 title game, that does give them at least a shot. Yes. I don't know if it's a great shot, but it does give them a shot to do it. I like the Ducks in this one.
I do too.
They're going to have to get over those haunting memories of a similar game against a good Stanford team that they lost to in overtime. But I think Oregon will get it done at home, and I don't fully believe in Washington, even though their defense is very, very good.
All right, guys, let us know who you got in this matchup, the Ducks or the Huskies. Rounding out the top 25 now, we talked about Auburn. Man, they just fell so much. Texas A&M, good on Jimbo Fisher. He's really doing well with this Aggies program in his first year. We're seeing a lot of first-year head coaches struggle in 2018, but he's not one of them.
They're going to hang around this top 25 mark. They might be the team that always finds a way to lose to a good team, slide out of the top 25, and then get back in after that. But they're a good program.
Let's quickly take a look also at the receiving vote. So Iowa, they're 4-1. They're getting some votes. Stanford, receiving votes. I still can't believe they fell out of the top 25.
I would have flipped them with Mississippi State if it was me. I know Mississippi State's going to have a really good win against an Auburn team that I'm not that high on, but I think Stanford's pretty good too.
And then Washington State, San Diego State, TCU, App State, Utah. Obviously, they get some votes because they beat Stanford. South Carolina's there. And then Hawaii, 6-1. Rainbow Warriors getting it done, getting 1 vote.
Very few receiving votes this week, believe it or not. It was kind of unusual.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. All right, guys, you're watching college football now. Go ahead and check out Tavour if you're a craft beer fan and use that promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first purchase. It's awesome. You get to browse the largest source of beer on the web, and then you get it delivered to your front door. So $10 off, promo code CHATSPORTS. Get it done today.
All kinds of craft beer from all over the nation. Trust me, guys. Go check them out. It's fantastic.
All right, guys, so we'll keep it running through the top 25 one more time. And while we're at it, be sure to let us know what 4 teams you think are going to make the college football playoff. It's a topsy-turvy world right now on the gridiron in college football, so definitely let us know what you think, and Tom and I will join the comments.
Well, one team that is sitting fantastic right now is Notre Dame. They've already got the quality wins. They play home against Pitt this coming weekend. That should be an easy game. Bye week, then Navy. We'd think they'd win that one.
Right.
Northwestern, Florida State, Syracuse, USC could be trip-up games, but Notre Dame should win all of those.
They should.
Notre Dame should be a college football playoff team this year. Of course, we saw a similar scenario last year where they started the year hot and then kind of tapered off a little bit beyond that loss to Georgia.
Side note really quick, Miami took on FSU, and Florida State looked better. Made it a close game.
They look better.
Gave up a pretty big lead, though.
Maybe Willie Taggart will end up getting fired, but I don't want to know if I want to believe Florida State quite yet. Well, look, I told you this before. The first year under Taggart is going to be iffy. That's what he's been in pretty much all of his stops before this.
Yeah. All right, guys, that was your top 25 after 6 weeks of college football in the books. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Clemson, and Notre Dame are your top 5.
I cannot believe they put Texas in the top.
I know. West Virginia, Washington,
I say this
Penn
as
State,
a somewhat Texas fan.
UCF. Somewhat?
Yeah, I am a lukewarm fan, I guess the way to describe it. I can't really claim myself as one, but I cheer for them for the most part. cannot believe that they're top 10.
Fair enough.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Fair enough. Oklahoma, Michigan, LSU, Florida, 11 through 15. Wisconsin there at 15. Tom, deep breaths. Miami's there at 16.
Don't know why LSU is ahead of Florida.
Followed by Oregon, Kentucky, Colorado, NC State, and then we have Auburn, Texas A&M, South Florida, Mississippi State, and Cincinnati.